go. SIC Flows from Cold and Dark. My SIC Flows. And all right, we're going to do an engine start. We've got the power on, ground power. We've already put the flight plan in the box, and we're just going up top, which is going to be here, but it's here. We're going to make sure that, excuse me, ignition's in standby. Generator reset is set to off, and all the hoods are down on these, and we have some lights on to tell people we're about to start engines. These are off, and this is norm, so we got ignition to standby. So, but meanwhile, the fuel is norm, auto, auto, norm. Cool. All right, we're ready for start. Captain's going to do the select to the left engine, and he's going to hit the yellow button. I'm going to watch it flash down there, come down, watch N2, and I'll call 8%. He'll probably see it, but it's my job to call 10%. He introduces fuel, looking for a light off. ITT will jump up. I'm looking at ITT. My main focus is ITT, glancing down for the oil pressure and oil temperature, but ITT is the big focus as we watch the N2 come around, and we are checking for 25% and 35%, somewhere between 35 and 45%. The disengage light should come off. I'll call disengage, and we should see a good light off. If not, he has to push this button and cut off fuel. And we got to try again in 5 minutes. Okay, we got good light off on both of these. Let's just assume that. And I'm going quick because otherwise this takes forever. And these are just the basic flows, because this is, and you check them with the checklist after you do the flows. That said, we have a good light off. We're setting up, making sure that the frequencies are in here. And so we're ready to taxi. The passengers are settled in and got their seatbelts on. The AC is already on. Passengers in. It's ready for taxi. So the takeoff checks are, the captain has the AC voltage checks he does with the dial over there next to the circuit breakers. I make sure the AC is on and set to a cool temperature for the passengers, and make sure that double check oxygen is on. I'm going to go down here and make sure manual cabin pressure set to full increase. Cabin altitude, the controller is set to cruise altitude plus 1,000, which I've already done. And then go over here, uncage the standby gyro, go up here, and any windshield, oh, and here it is, windshield or engine anti-ice that the captain wants, I'll put that in, and verify recog is off at this point. Go down, double check AC's on, and we're ready to taxi. I will get the taxi clearance, and we'll begin our taxi. There's a big list of taxi checks here. I will ask him if he wants me to read off these, and he'll either say yes or he'll say no. Let's just go through them, and we'll do them at his discretion, but typically they are the thrust reversers, which he deploys. I call 6 lights. He says stow, I emergency stow them. He says unstow, I unstow, well, I stow them. I call 2 lights. He says unstow. It's back to 6. I call 6 lights, and your stow, he stows them. Then he might do the speed. We do the speed brake test. That's pretty common. So I set speed brakes to EMER with under here, and then I deploy them, extend them. Look, they're not extended. They're not extended on his side. And then I switch from EMER back to norm. Look, and they have extended. And he sees that they've extended. Then I retract them. He sees that they're retracted. I see they're retracted. We have anti-skid, which he will probably do because he'll be driving the bus. He'll say, okay, I got no brakes on test. I set it to off, some brakes, and then normal brakes. Go down here. One of the important ones is the trim disconnect. So I'll tell autopilot on. Not trim disconnect, autopilot disconnect, autopilot on, and he'll hit his hat, autopilot on, and then I'll do it again. He'll hit his red button, takes the yaw damper off. I'll do it again. We hit the go around button. I do it again, hit the EMER trim disconnect button, do it again. I hit my hat, do it again, hit my red button, and we've done 6 autopilot cancellation checks. Make sure that trim is set to green, we got both norm, and the disconnect buttons, and then green on the pitch trim button, level and centered here. Go up, EFCs are on, and flaps are set to 10. Engine sync is off. And let's see, probably do the around the world where we check that the AP is pointed to him. We have the plan in the box. We have our V speeds set, V1, VR, V2, heading and pitch mode, heading pitch mode down here, or it might be heading nav mode because we're going to do an RNAV departure. Then come back here, go around, altitude select is across the fence. We got our altitude in here, field altitudes here, altimeter settings there, and there, and there. Back up, and then down here, and then any other last minute verification. I always like to double check. Oxygen is really on. Okay, so we've done these are while we're taxiing. We'll get up to hold short line, double check some things, maybe wait. Meanwhile, we're cleared for takeoff. Cleared for takeoff, make sure transponder is on, EFCs are on, flaps are set to 10. Coming up, ignition's on. We got, oh, here it is, ignition's on. We got 2, which with the landing lights and windshield on low. So 2, 2, 6, and then 2 here. We may have 2 here if this is transferring a little. Anyway, so we are, oh yeah, AC is off and recog is off, and we're ready for takeoff. Verify takeoff clearance, verify the runway, and we're waiting to take off. I sit here, he's gonna set thrust. I look up here to see what the thrust setting should be, and then I look down here to see what the thrust setting is. Usually it'll be pretty close. If not, I might say something like thrust low. And then I'll see airspeed alive. I'll call airspeed alive. Then I'll call 80 knots. He'll say cross check because he's looking at his. Then I'll say V1. He'll put both hands on the yoke. Then I'll see rotate, I'll call rotate. He starts to pitch up. I'm watching here for a vertical rate of climb. I see the climb rate increasing. I go positive rate of climb, he calls gear up, gear comes up, yaw damper comes on. I bring in the landing lights, and then eyes back down to the radar altimeter, which is probably 200 to 300 feet at this point because this thing goes fast. And then I call 400 feet, he says flaps up, I go flaps up, engine sync on, yes or no, he goes sure, and I come up here, I turn the ignition to standby, and turn recog on, verify that the landing lights are retracted, come down, turn the AC back on for the passengers, and we're climbing out, going over departure, what have you. As we're climbing out, I will double check oxygen is on, double check that we have a climb rate for the cabin, double check that the big needle's chasing the little needle on the cabin differential pressure, verify once again cabin pressure is set to 1,000 above cruise, and yep, double check things here. And the nav mode, I'm synced with him. Then we pass through 18,000 feet. At 18,000 feet, I hit 29902, verify he's got 9902. We set 29902 in the backup altimeter. I come up, I'm turning recog off because it's not allowed above 18,000. I set the AC off, back to blower because no AC above 18,000. And yeah, and I'm probably going to double check down here cabin pressure. We're always looking at cabin pressure. And just because I'm a little paranoid, I always check, turn the oxygen on. That's important. Okay, so we're at cruise. Cruise means typically just monitoring, getting frequency changes and briefing the arrival, briefing the approach, briefing the taxi, briefing the FBO. Do we need fuel? Do we need a rental car for the passengers? And doing that sort of stuff. Meanwhile, we're going to start a descent checklist, or checking that, we'll get cleared to 30, flight level 300. I'll set 300 in here, go down here, set 310 down here, 1,000 plus. We'll descend. As we're descending, I'm checking down here, make sure these things are okay. These cabin pressures are set to where they should be, doing what they should be. And then we're going to pass through 18,000. Well, when we pass through 24,000 is about the time that cabin altitude will be set to field elevation, so double check that. As we pass through 18,000, we're going to get a local altimeter setting. I'll set it in mine, verify he's set it in his. I'll take this field elevation that we used earlier, I'll put it here in the backup so that we don't have to think about it, because we probably will already have gotten the ATIS at this point. We pass through 18,000, recog comes off, AC comes back on. I'm sorry, recog comes on, AC comes back on. So those things are on below 18,000. And we are waiting for the next checklist really is approach. And then we're at the end of the arrival, we're about to start the approach, maybe we've been vectored, and I'll do approach checklist, which check in the fuel quantity and balance, coming down here, making sure we put the VREF and the approach speed into VR and V2, coming across here, double check cabin altitude is set to field plus 500, double check the hydraulic pressure, AOA set to 1.3, coming up here, turning off windshield or any anti-ice that the captain thinks should go off at that point. And then we are standing by for flaps and engine sync, which will be turned off at some point. And next coming up, we're on the approach and we're about to start the landing process. So at some point he will call for flaps, he will call for engine sync off, and at some point we'll have, once the gear's down, I'm going to go gear down, flaps are set, ignition coming off, and we are going to, ignition coming on and recog coming off, landing lights coming on, and air conditioning coming off, because we don't land with air conditioning on, and we are set, we got 4 on, 2 off. We're set for landing, and now I'm standing by the yaw damper and speed brakes. A lot of times the yaw damper is going to come off because he uses the red button to disconnect the autopilot. Meanwhile, so as we're about to land, I'm looking to make sure the one runway is clear and it's the runway we're supposed to be on. Meanwhile, I'm ready for speed brakes. We settle down onto the runway, I deploy the speed brakes, the captain uses the thrust reversers, I call 6 lights, he slows the airplane down, we taxi off. As we taxi off, I'm turning the AC back on for the passengers, I'm turning the ignition back to standby, I'm going to turn these heats off and these heats off, I'm going to turn these lights off, turn the lights off, I won't retract them, I'll just turn them off, and I'll get the taxi clearance, we'll begin taxiing, I'll look down here, I'll use the yoke to put the trim back where it's supposed to be in the green and level centered. Then we have some taxi checks, we'll pull up. I'll ask Captain if he wants me to jump out and let the passengers out once we're stopped, and he probably will say yes, because he'll be doing the shutdown checklist. I'll get the door open, help them out with any of their stuff, and I will go get their luggage and take it in the FBO or put it in their car. Then I come back in as he goes in to take care of food, fuel or what have you, and I'll double check the shutdown, and then I'll go do some paperwork before I clean up the cockpit and the cabin. And oh yeah, one last run through of the cabin, make sure nobody left anything before they hop in their car and leave. And yeah, that's it. Until I do a lot of paperwork and clean up my thumbprints on the in one. Wow,